This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. There's been a stabbing incident near the Showgrounds in Glenorchy with a man sustaining non-life-threatening injuries. Our reporter Michelle Wisby is on the scene and joins us now. Michelle, good evening. What do we know about this breaking story?
Well, Joe, as you can see behind me, police are still on the scene here in Glenorchy after a man was stabbed several times just a short while ago. The man has now been taken to the Royal Hobart Hospital and his injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. The incident happened here in the Bunnings car park with the Hobart show happening right behind us. We don't know too much yet, but police do believe the man and the offender were known to each other and it was not a random attack. And Joe, police are now calling for anyone with information to contact police or Crime Stoppers.
Okay, thanks for that report, Michelle. Michelle Wisby joining us there. A man in his 20s has been charged with armed robbery after allegedly holding up a service station in Bridgewater last night. Police say a man wearing a balaclava and wielding a knife demanded money from the cashier before fleeing the scene. Louise Hedger has our story.
Late this afternoon, Tasmania police charged a 24-year-old man with armed robbery. They say he's responsible for last night's incident at the United Service Station in Bridgewater.
A male dressed in dark clothing, wearing a mask over his face, entered the service station brandishing a knife.
A female customer was in the store as the incident unfolded. Police say a man threatened the attendant with the weapon and demanded cash was handed over.
It's a fairly traumatic experience for both of those people to go through, but yeah, there was no injuries that were sustained at all.
He fled the scene on foot down Scotts Road with several $100s worth of cash. Police conducted an extensive search, leading to an arrest this morning in the same suburb. As a result of some of those inquiries and some of the information that we've received, as I said, he was identified as a suspect and taken into custody. But we can't rule out that others haven't benefited or assisted in some way. Those involved are obviously shaken, but the shop's owner says he's glad nobody was hurt. The man will face an out-of-hours session at Hobart Magistrates Court tonight, but police are still calling for anyone with more information to contact Crime Stoppers.
Tasmanians have joined a national boycott of petrol stations today over the current price of fuel. The one-day protest was supported by 160,000 Australians, but the state's peak motoring body says it's unlikely to make any difference.
Gordon Higgins certainly did his homework before filling up today.
Well, I'm a member of the RACT and I've come into an RACT station to get the 6 off the petrol per litre.
But while he opted for a trip to the Bowser, others were happy to take part in a national boycott.
And I'm really glad they're having this strike for no fuel today. That's good.
Penny Frank moved from New South Wales to Tassie and says the current price here is outrageous.
I can remember when it hit $1 and we thought, wow! But now to be so close to $2 is just, yeah, we just can't do it.
RACT agrees due to rising oil costs, petrol prices are nearing an all-time high.
In terms of Tasmania, we know that the lack of competition results in higher fuel prices across the board.
The highest price for unleaded fuel per litre in the north of the state today was $1.79, while in the south it was $1.77 and travellers felt the pinch.
It cost us $80 to fill
and we'll have to then fill up more to go home, so you know, it's over $100 for a 2.5-hour trip.
But RACT says boycotting the Bowser is unlikely to make any difference.
If people aren't filling up today, they're going to need to fill up tomorrow, and so probably the impact that people are looking to see through this national strike probably isn't going to have the impact because people are actually going to spend that money tomorrow and the money will be recouped.
With some parts of the state having petrol stations offering up to an 8-cent difference in the price of fuel per litre, the advice from experts is to drive by several before choosing where to fill up.
Reward that fuel retailer because if they're seeing increased customers coming to the fuel market and seeing that they're being rewarded by offering lower prices, they will continue to do so.
Jessie Gilmore, Southern Cross News.
Tasmania's housing market is finally starting to settle, but experts say there is still a critical lack of affordable housing. New data shows property sales in our two biggest cities have dropped as buyers seek out cheaper homes in the regions.
Half an hour out of Hobart, many of these empty lots at Brighton sold within days.
This is a new release that we've done with 35 blocks in there. We actually pre-sold 33 out of the 35 before construction was completed, just due to the demand.
New data released today found Tasmania's housing market is finally starting to ease. But a lack of properties in big cities continues to push buyers further out, seeking more affordable properties.
You can come into an area like this, pick up some land, and you can actually then get a brand new home, basically for under $400,000, which we're not seeing in closer to the Hobart CBD.
In the last 3 months, Hobart and Launceston have seen a drop in sales, and there has been a slight drop in prices for most of the state. A positive sign for buyers and renters.
For investors buying property, if they're buying property at a lesser price, they're not having to jack rents up as high as they have been, so we may see an easing in the rental market.
Concerns now remain for vulnerable Tasmanians and their ability to ever enter the housing market.
We acknowledge there are issues that go with that, and we're responding with our $200 million affordable housing strategy.
Everybody's working really hard in the community sector in particular to try and address these needs, but we don't have enough houses, we don't have enough services for them. It's really nowhere near enough being done.
But looking forward, prices are not expected to drop dramatically anytime soon. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
The Public Sector Union has written to the Premier raising concerns staff are not being encouraged to speak up in an investigation into embattled Minister Sarah Courtenay. It was revealed in Parliament last week Ms Courtenay had formed a relationship with the head of her department, prompting a code of conduct investigation. The CPSU says there are staff who have information relevant to this investigation but are worried speaking out could risk their employment, a claim denied by the government today.
They are welcome to make a comment. There has been absolutely no restriction on staff making a comment should they wish to do so.
The Premier needs to act on this now and make sure that that staff members can provide their advice frankly and be heard without any concerns about losing their jobs.
Ms Courtenay has stepped aside while the investigation is ongoing. Time is running out to return ballots for Tasmania's mass round of council elections. The Electoral Commission says 53% of votes have been returned so far, with the deadline 10 a.m. on Tuesday. Flinders Island and Glamorgan Spring Bay are leading the state with around 77% of their ballots coming in. Clarence and Launceston are the worst performers with around 48% of votes submitted. And if you're yet to return your ballot, the most certain way to reach the deadline is to lodge it at your local council office by Tuesday morning. Tasmania's Agricultural Society has revealed its plans for future development at the Royal Hobart Showgrounds. The land has been tipped the gem of the northern suburbs, with claims it would be perfect for an affordable housing complex, a hotel and retail precinct.
It's the home of the Royal Hobart Show, but there's big plans to get this site buzzing year-round.
This could be an events and cultural precinct that will rival not only Macquarie Point but everything else in the country.
Today its potential unveiled, including the development of a hotel and a retail precinct.
Overall, this could be a $150 million vision, so that's beyond our means, but there's no doubt there's interest in people coming on that journey with us.
We need to make sure that aligns strategically with our land use planning scheme and also the integration of all the other uses adjacent to the site as well.
Scott Gadd has been at the coalface of Hobart's housing crisis, offering a place for the homeless to pitch their tents even in the depths of winter. Now he's pitching a solution in the form of 400 medium-density houses,
with a range of pathway to purchase right through to outright home ownership in it.
But for a few years to come, the show will stay as is, spread across the site. The focus on agriculture more than ever, allowing people to showcase the work they do every day, such as these working kelpies.
You just couldn't do it, whether it's one sheep or 1,000 sheep, you wouldn't bother without a dog.
It's not all just about technology and everything when there's stuff that you can do that adds to having fun and things like that.
The animal nursery still a staple, the younger generation remaining a captive audience.
City people have a gap between country and city, and we try and bridge that gap. Teach children animals are a good leveller, a good base.
A sustainable future with country roots. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
A Tasmanian adventurer who overcame serious injuries from a climbing accident is being recognised with an Australian Geographic Award tonight. Doctors feared Paul Pritchard wouldn't walk or talk again after being hit by a boulder, but his passion and drive proved them wrong and showed people with disabilities are capable of amazing things.
These spectacular and scary cliffs on the Tasman Peninsula are where Paul Pritchard's life changed forever. Here in 1998, he was struck by a rock the size of a television, leaving him with a traumatic brain injury and the right side of his body paralysed.
I spent a year not being able to talk and in a wheelchair.
But with rehabilitation and grit, the mountaineer continued his adventurous life. 2 years ago, he conquered the totem pole climb that had injured him so badly. Last year, he descended the Gordon Dam, the highest abseil in the Southern Hemisphere, and with 2 friends also affected by disabilities, cycled from the lowest point of Australia to the highest. He now describes his accident as the best thing that ever happened to him.
It taught me determination and patience, and also acceptance.
Tonight, this inspirational Tasmanian is being recognised by Australian Geographic at a ceremony in Sydney. He's being awarded the Spirit of Adventure, an accolade for strength, determination and overcoming obstacles. While he's overseas at the moment, this is the message he's delivering tonight.
Disabled people have long been told what they can and can't do, and I'm here to tell those people that they can do it.
A person with a lesson from life. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
A Tasmanian basketball coach is tonight packing his bags in preparation to fly to Vietnam first thing tomorrow morning. David Munns has been selected by the International Basketball Federation, FIBA, to design and deliver a new coaching course to the Vietnamese Basketball Federation.
For me, it's a really exciting opportunity because the work that I'll do with the Vietnamese, I'll be able to then bring back some of that and make our delivery for our Basketball Tasmania programs even better.
Munns will return to Tasmania on the 3rd of November. This year's Tasmanian Chamber Music Festival has gained attention from across the country, with the event selling out in just 3 days. Despite this, organisers are promising it won't affect the tight-knit feel of the event.
It's a festival aiming to strike a chord with the community. For these musicians, being a part of the Tasmanian Chamber Music Festival is about more than the melodies.
All chamber music is about connecting in a very personal way with the audience. It's music that will be performed in people's homes, so house concerts in intimate venues.
The event is in its 2nd year and performers say its intimate nature is what makes it unique.
I think that's what separates it from going to a concert where you go into the hall, you leave the hall. There's often receptions at chamber music festivals, eating and drinking, which is obviously a great part of being at a festival.
It's something director Alana says she doesn't want to compromise as the already sold out festival gains more interest.
It would be nice to be able to fit more people in, but you don't want to lose the ambience that the festival has at the moment. So there are 3 performances in 3 barns, just so that we can fit more people in.
And the event is attracting more than locals.
People from Queensland, from Perth, lots from Melbourne and Sydney, and quite a lot of southerners coming up to the north of the state too.
The attention hailed as a boost for Tasmania.
Accommodations booked out, people are eating and drinking and then going on to discover wineries. It's great for the region.
The event kicks off tonight at the Falls Pavilion. Judy Augustine, Southern Cross News.
Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market failed to follow Wall Street's strong lead, closing slightly higher after a day of up and down trade. The ASX 200 index rose 1.1 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 70.28 US cents and 108.6 New Zealand cents.
Day 7 of the Invictus Games has just seen Devonport's Matthew Brumby claim his 5th gold medal. Meanwhile, La Trobe's Jared Kent continues to be a crowd favourite as the only 2 Tasmanians on the team do our country proud.
Lining up against his fellow competitors at 12:20 this afternoon, Devonport para-athlete Matty Brumby was already a winner 3 times over.
With the kids on the hill, trying to cheer on Matt Brumby.
The 40-year-old won gold in the 200 and 400 metre track events yesterday and helped Australia's men's wheelchair rugby team claim gold against the United Kingdom last night. Showing no signs of fatigue, Brumby took the lead early in today's 1500 metre track event. Crossing the line in 4 minutes and 44 seconds, he then went back to spur his American competition on.
School kids, everyone here roaring for the camaraderie between Australian and American.
The co-captain of Australia's 2018 Invictus team is clearly a favourite, and the man of the moment can do no wrong. Just under an hour ago, he claimed his 5th gold medal, taking the 100 metre track event.
Well, the co-captain of the Australian team is putting in big time here in Sydney.
Meanwhile, La Trobe's Jared Kent continued keeping crowds entertained, qualifying 2nd overall for the long jump final. The 2018 Invictus Games wraps up tomorrow. Jessie Gilmore, Southern Cross News.
Meanwhile, day 2 of the Sheffield Shield clash between Western Australia and Tasmania at the Wacker Ground in Perth is evenly poised. Out of form, Test batsman Shaun Marsh scored 80 for WA, while Gabe Bell continued his good early season form with figures of 3 for 43. A short time ago, Western Australia were 9 for 230, an overall lead of just 4 runs. The AFLW fixture for 2019 has been revealed, with the North Melbourne Tasmanian Kangaroos slated for 2 of their 3 home matches in Tasmania. North Hobart Oval will host the Roos' opening clash with Carlton on the 3rd of February. 2 weeks later, the new club take on the Bulldogs at UTAS Stadium in a night game.
Coming up against Carlton, a lot of their side will have played AFLW before, so that will make a big difference. But yeah, we've just got to cope with that and come up with ways to impact straight away.
It's really exciting, especially for us Tasmanians. It's not every day that we get to play in our home state, so to play 3 home games and 2 played in Tasmania, it's really good.
The full AFLW fixture has less Friday night matches to allow for longer breaks for players in the competition.
Good evening. After another cool night, today's temperatures sat a couple of degrees below average. Hobart and Devonport 17, Launceston and Burnie 18 degrees. Friendly Beaches the high with 19. It was 17 at St Helens, Low Head and Grove 16. Ouse and the Bass Strait Islands 15 degrees and Strawn 14. Patchy low-level cloud over Tasmania and surrounding areas. Higher cloud moved in quite rapidly this afternoon as well. Bright thundercloud is through much of the western interior of the country. Afternoon convection is over the north of the country as well, with the rest of the nation mostly clear. Tomorrow, a cold front over our region connects to a low well to the south. A series of troughs run through northern Australia with weak ridges between. The west to northwesterly should turn more south-southwesterly at 20 to 30 knots tomorrow, but reaching 35 knots over the east. 2-metre swells building to 3 by evening. A gale warning is on from the top of Flinders Island to Tasman Island, a strong wind warning for all remaining coastal waters, a small craft wind alert for the lakes. So the rain moves in tomorrow with the cold front, becoming windy too for Hobart, 16 the top, 12 the high for Maydena and at Oatlands. Launceston tomorrow, a possible shower and 19 degrees, 18 the maximum for Devonport, a shower or 2 early for Lyowini, 1 overnight to a top of 9. For Burnie tomorrow, a shower or 2 clearing later, 17 the top, 15 the high for Strawn and Marrawar, with showers easing later in the day. And for St Helens, a shower or 2, 18 the top, 16 for Swansea and Orford, with showers and wind. UV in the high range, that's up to 7 in Launceston and Burnie. Most of the wet weather will push through tomorrow, leaving Sunday fine and partly cloudy. Fine on Monday, but partly cloudy as well, a morning frost for some. And on Tuesday, showers over the southwest extending to the west and south in the afternoon. A sunny 28 in Perth. Fine with high cloud over Adelaide, an afternoon shower in Melbourne. Fine and mostly sunny for Canberra, Sydney and Brisbane. A possible storm for Alice Springs. Current conditions fine. Hobart 15 degrees, 16 in Launceston, in Devonport 16 degrees as well. Joe, very short price favourite, Winks for the Cox Plate tomorrow. So here's what you do. In race 3 at Moonee Valley, you do a multi with Savitano into Winks, and in the actual Cox Plate, it's Winks and Ben Battle for Quinella, and in the trifecta, Winks, Ben Battle in the field. And do it responsibly, whatever you do. And I just hope you wrote that all down.
Yeah, you lost me. Oh, you have to tell me after. Thanks, Merv. Good luck, Winks. That's all from the news team. Have a lovely evening. Good night.